Okay, welcome to video 2. This one's on the ambiguous case of sine law. So the word ambiguous just means there might be two answers, right? Like it means you're not really sure which answer it is, but we'll be able to figure out which answer it is. So this one says always, like the ambiguous case of sine law is always considered when calculating an angle with sine law. So if this is my sine law down here, what that means is that the only time we're going to take this into account is if you're solving for, capital A, capital B, or capital C. We're not going to do this if we're solving for like A, lowercase a, or B, right? Not these side lengths. Oh, B and C. Okay. So that right here it says the sine of supplementary angles are equivalent. So that's kind of the whole ambiguous part of this. And what I mean by that is if we drew this, and let's say we had an angle like that of 10 degrees. Well, if you put in your calculator 10 degrees, that's going to be the same as if you put into your calculator from there to there 170 degrees. Your calculator is going to think it's the same thing, right? It ends up actually, the ratio is the same. It knows that that's what you're talking about. So if we're solving for an angle, we're going to have two possibilities. One would be 10 degrees. The other would be 170 degrees. So it's like we're going to have two answers that are possible answers, but only one of them makes sense. So the same thing, if you had sine 110, that's the same as sine 70, right? Because 110 and 70 add up to 180. They're the exact same for the same reason as this one. Okay. So problem, calculators won't calculate obtuse angles with sine -1. So in this example, it says in triangle GHJ, determine the measure of angle G to the nearest degree. So here's the problem. If you look at our triangle, you can see that we kind of want to make straight lines from one side to the other. So we have an angle there, and we have a side there. So we're good for one of our ratios, right? We can say sine 65 degrees over 8.6. Let's leave the centimeters out of it for now, is equal to, but now I need it to be equal to something, right? But if I look back over here, I want to find angle G, but on this side, I don't have either of these. I don't have little g or big G. So that's kind of the problem. What I need to do first is I need to figure out some of the info to find that. And what would be nice, and one way where you don't have to do this ambiguous sine law thing is if, this side, it already told you maybe, this side was 20 degrees or something like that, and then you could figure out that side because 180 is what they all add up to. But we don't have that, so we have to figure out what that is first. So remember, the goal here is G. What we got to find first is J, because if we fill this in, just the whole thing, I'm going to have sine 65, 8.5 is equal to sine, I'm just going to say sine G over G, right? Because we don't know either of those. We don't know that one or that one, which is equal to, now the last one is sine J over 6.1. So you can see that we can figure out sine J first, and then when we know that, we can figure out, well, I'll show you first. Let's figure out sine J, and then we're going to know two angles, and then we can figure out angle G. Okay, but what we got to do first is we got to, do this one. So if we solve for that, I'm just going to rewrite, that one is equal to that one and kind of leave this out for now. Let's say, all right, so I got that written out. If I rearrange this, I can rewrite this to say sine J is equal to 6.1 times sine 65 degrees over 8.6. Next step is just to say J is equal to sine -1, and then in brackets just all of this stuff up here, right? 6.1 times sine 65 over 8.6. And now if you put that into your calculator, you end up with J is equal to 40. 40 degrees. So we got to think about what that means. This thing could be talking about an acute angle being 40 degrees, or it could be talking about, you know, this angle. And what would that angle be? Well, I know that this side's going to be 40 as well, right? So this angle here would be 140 degrees. So here's the ambiguous part. So it's called the ambiguous, all the way at the top anyway, sine law, is we don't know whether this angle is going to be 40 or whether it's going to be 140. Those are the two that it could be. It could be, one that opens, with like an acute angle, or it could be one that opens up kind of like that, right? We don't know which one. So we got to kind of just use our common sense to figure it out. So what we're going to do is just make a little table. So let's see if I went, just something like this and said J, G, and H. And these are our angles, right? So angle J. And we're talking about these, right? So I know angle H is 65, so I can write that in there. I know angle G, well, this is where the difference is going to be. What I'm going to do for the first one is pick 140. So let's say this was 140. What do all my angles have to add up to? They have to add up to 180 degrees, right? Well, if I look at that, I can tell right off the bat that this can't be 140 because 140 plus 65, that's over 180 degrees. So that's over 180 degrees. It can't be this one. So that means that it has to be the lower one, 40 degrees. So if we look at this, J, let's say it was 40, G, and then H again was 65. All I have to do is go 180 minus 40. So 180 minus 40 minus 65. And then that would give me G is equal to 75 degrees. So that is my answer. That's the ambiguous part, is I was able to rule this one out because it ended up being over 180 degrees. Hopefully that made sense. We're going to work a bit on this too, so if it didn't, we'll work together to get through that. So I'm going to let you guys try this one on your own as well. Yeah, I'm actually going to let you guys try both of these ones on your own. So this one. So go ahead and do this question now. And here's the solution for this one. So I'm just going to leave that up for a minute. Scroll down a bit. So there's the solution. It ended up being this one. No, sorry, not this one. This one's already over 180, so it ended up being this one, and was equal to 30. Okay, then I'd like you guys to go ahead and do this question for me, please, and I'll put the answers up once you're done answering. Okay, and here's the answer for this one. So let's scroll down a little bit. And then just make sure you guys pause it, or if there's something that you're not sure about, just pause it and make sure you stop at that part to kind of figure out. So again, this one ended up being already over 180 degrees, and then we determined that this one was 62, and that E was 7.2. Okay, so I'm going to end that video there, and we'll work on this in class too, so if you're not getting this right now, don't be discouraged. We're going to do a bunch more with this, so see you guys in class.